Absolutely. Thanks so much. We really
Michael, just as a
appreciate.
reminder, I just want to remind our audience that we're recording these sessions and that we do have a Q&A that's going to be running so that our participants can ask you questions during the presentation as well as after. And of course, we will be doing a giveaway after your presentation, Michael. And believe it or not, after Michael's presentation, we have our keynote speaker, Microsoft. Thank you so much again. Take it away.
Well, thanks so much for joining, and I really appreciate the inclusion we all do at Jupiter Systems. So thank you very much to Lightworks. Really excited to participate today. And we really did want to focus in on the Microsoft EMTR solutions. We'll talk in general around the collaboration solutions as well, but it's a massive catalyst in the market for us right now. And I think it'll bring a lot of value to the audience here. As it relates to our team and what we're working on, I like to offer some validation around Jupiter in general. We are a 40-year-old Silicon Valley technology company, and we've led to first to market innovation in many areas. Our core business for the last 40 years has been video wall processing, and we're first to market with video wall processor in general, also first to market with AV over IP technologies. And we launched display in 2021 at InfoComm. And our whole mission around the display technology as it relates to our panel line and the LCD product was to be first to market and an incumbent leader in the 21.9 technology. So you will not see our company participate in 16.9 technology and the development of that. We really want to lead the 21.9 presence. And the Microsoft relationship obviously is a huge catalyst in that, in their delivery of front row. And
Michael, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, Michael, but you're not in presenter mode. I don't know if that's deliberate, but I just wanted to let you know.
Okay, thank you very much.
Not to worry. Carry on.
We will switch over here. I'm going to just stay here for now. Having a little bit of issue on this side. But also in the terms of validation around Jupiter, with our presence and our 40-year history, I'm focused on the global enterprise, and we're well suited in that space. In operating in over 90 countries, we have 5 global warehouses, and we're installed in over 25,000 locations. And so it puts us in great position to serve the enterprise. As I talk about the display itself and some of the technology around the PANA 21.9, this is all designed and engineered by Jupiter. We've spent 4 years in R&D around the product and bringing 21.9 5K to 105-inch display. And so from that perspective, we had to source the chipset, we had to develop the integrated circuit board and the MCU. And why that's important is it gives us the ability to roadmap with enterprise clients. And I'll talk about the Microsoft relationship and how that ties in. But it is not a white label OEM product. It's fully integrated into collaboration platforms. We have an offering that interops Zoom desktop with Teams desktop. We obviously have our EMTR solution. The 21.9 LCD PANA displays come in 3 form factors: 105, 81, and the 34-inch desktop. And we felt by delivering those form factors, we were going to be able to hit 80 or 90% of the enterprise workspaces and collaboration environments in terms of being able to deliver holistically along those use cases for enterprise clients. The models come in an interactive and display only version. They're also multi-orientation purpose, meaning you can put them in portrait or landscape with one SKU. So you do not have to order a separate product number or SKU to be able to put it into a portrait mode. We see portrait really relevant in CECs as an alignment into other customer engagement centers, multiple technology centers and environments such as that. As mentioned, we have the 105 and the 81. The 81 is 6 feet tall or wide. The 105 is 8 feet tall or wide. As I show you some of the pictures, keep that in mind in the size and the space. And then it is included in the Microsoft EMTR and EMR design base for Microsoft and their new front row EMTR designs. So from a standpoint of some of the tech spec, it's Energy Star certified, HDR 400 certified. We've built our whole product line around a USB-C connectivity hub. I'll talk a little bit about what that means, but that's part of the innovation. We realize that competitors will come to market, and the USB-C connectivity hub gives us the ability to ingest 5K through that USB-C port. In addition, it eliminates the need for an additional cable for touch environments. So in the interactive display, we can run touch, video, and audio all off the USB-C cable. And that, in essence, improves designs. It eliminates points of failure. And it's really a piece that we've looked at as leading the market and being a differentiator. We have multiple country regulatory and safety certifications. So currently we're installed from a PANA perspective in about 18 countries. We also have a TAA compliant SKU that includes the PANA bundled with our small processor and our software package. So as it relates to Teams, I wanted to jump in and talk about the Microsoft enhanced Microsoft Teams room. So for those of you that haven't heard that term, an enhanced Microsoft Teams room or an EMTR is different than an MTR. And the designation and the difference is really that an EMTR is focused on 21.9 ultra wide displays. And so from our perspective in the relationship with Microsoft, we've worked with the Hive team for about 9 months. We integrated some firmware and some integration technology within our display and the EMTR compute device. And essentially what that delivered from that relationship was our ability, or the ability for Microsoft, to eliminate some of their technology and AV hardware that they had in the legacy or previous design. And it saved them upwards to $1,200 a room. And that's at scale a big deal over time. And that's one of the values of us owning the technology and all of our intellectual property, is that we have that ability to roadmap and work with clients on that integration path. And so we provide an automated EDI control, the Wake on Sync for HDMI, and that engineering and that integration path really established ourselves as being able to have this relationship and be specified on some of their internal designs. And we'll talk a little bit about that so we can offer some value around those designs. I'll share this link and right after the presentation so you can all view it. But this is the Microsoft guidance page and the link to it. And it will go in and define what the configurations are and give you guidance on all the peripheries and cameras. The really important thing that we've learned in doing over 30 deployments for Fortune 5000s over the last 10 months is really understanding that the certified PC is a really big deal when it comes to the EMTR. And although we're just the display manufacturer, we've learned a lot around what that means. And essentially what it means is that PCs in today's world and the GPU, CPU configuration have to be capable to drive 21.9, whether in 1080p, 4K, 4K plus, or up to 5K. And that's really the key consideration. So in this case, the certified PCs on the MTR guidance page are the Crestron, Flex, the Lenovo Core, and the Poly G10T. And it's really critical for the clients to understand that if they're implementing a certified room, that they investigate and choose the PC that's off of that list. Other PCs will drive the 21.9 resolution, but there is a specific integration path from the compute device with the WinChip set, with the OS. And as I understand it from all my work with Microsoft, there's an integration path between the hardware development and the software development and the builds on the team side that will enable future functionalities and pieces within that environment as well. So just an offering of understanding what we've learned from the deployment side and what that means. The resolutions will define some of the outlooks in terms of how the content presents, how big the content is, how big the participants are. There's some new feature sets that we've been introduced to that are in the non-preview mode that are internal and available through the TAP program, but the ability to double click on the participants and make them small, medium, or large, thus growing the content window, and some other enhancements around the configuration. So with the work that Jupiter Systems has done, we've been out in the real world deploying these in enterprises and really walking through these configurations. And each customer has their own unique need and design and what they want to facilitate. But there's a lot of options and flexibilities in the way that the system's designed from really the design or foundational piece to be able to facilitate the best use case and the best outcomes for the end users and all the participants. If you look at the guidance page, it will walk through and give you parameters on table size. There are different sizes and types of rooms within the environment of an EMTR and what Microsoft would term as an EMR, which are different room types, whether small, medium, or large. In the larger room, there's a 138-inch screen that's facilitated through projection. We're in a medium-sized room and in a small-sized room, and I'll show some pictures of that as we go through. And their call out is for a display at 4K capability in a 21:9 aspect ratio. We've run our systems all the way up to 5K utilizing Teams, not necessarily in the Microsoft environment, but with some of their end users. And that offers, again, some configuration flexibility on content and how important that content is. You know, from my perspective, as I look at this and I talk to these customers, it's taking a foundational piece and understanding that they want to implement front row. And that's really the driving #1 objective. I want to have this front row ability. I want to have direct eye-to-eye content. I want to have that experience. But in the environments where those rooms are hybrid, they're multi-collaboration spaces, there's different use cases in those rooms at different times of the day. And so the ability to go to gallery mode and then take full content across the entire screen in PowerPoint Live or Excel Live, that's a use case. The ability to bring in more participants in gallery mode. The ability to have 5K resolution for really high resolution content that needs to be reviewed and collaborated on with the in-room teams. So all these things are things that we're bringing back as market data points and adding to our portfolio of knowledge base and value that we can deliver with our partners, with our partners at the end user side, with our partners on the integration side, and with the manufacturer partners. We're highly engaged with Lenovo, with Logitech, with Crestron, in terms of them having our products in their labs and their development. We're also working with Zoom and their native 21:9 abilities within the collaboration space. If I jump into a little bit of the technical side, I'm going to pull up a Think Smart Core device by Lenovo. I bring this up because it's one that we've integrated to quite frequently. Of course, Crestron Flex is available for the EMTR space, as well as the Poly G10T. But this one is unique in that it actually has a USB-C port as well. And so we can drive 5K content out and ingest 5K content in to the USB-C port. There are new products on the market, one specifically from Extron that will support up to 32 gigabits per second. And you can extend or use one cable to go 30 feet on the USB-C side. So those are some of the emerging technologies that are driving the value of USB-C. And you could ask the question, well, why would I want to do that? Well, if you're going to implement touch, and some of our front row EMTR customers want touch because of the Microsoft Teams interactive whiteboard, then that would be an opportunity to eliminate a cable run and not have the need for that touchback cable if you were in DisplayPort or HDMI, and running that all off the USB-C port. So that's one key kind of differentiation in what we're bringing to the market in the forward thinking. When I met with Lenovo, and I've done several presentations with them as well, it was interesting that they defined this USB-C port, but they didn't really know the use case initially when they implemented it into the product, but the use case, you know, delivered itself to the market. So that's just a quick illustration on why USB-C is important and how we've incorporated that into our systems. So flexible resolution configurations, again, 1080 is the default resolution that's in the internal Microsoft world. Most of our customers go with 4K at 3440 by 1440. Some are at 4K plus, and each one of these resolutions will impact the content window. So in the front row experience, where you see, I'm just going to pop to another slide. If you see this content window right here, in 1080, this content window is going to be the equivalent of about a 45-inch diagonal screen. In 4K, it's going to be the equivalent of about a 67-inch diagonal screen. In PowerPoint Live and gallery mode, it would fill almost the entirety of the screen and be about 103-inch equivalent. So those are some of the things that we work with in the customer base, and just understanding how those resolutions will ultimately impact the content and the viewpoint. And it's been a great learning lesson for us to kind of engage with our customers and go through that. But these are all capable resolutions within the 21.9 PANA from Jupiter, and they can all be implemented and configured within the Teams environment. I would say that the 5K is limited to the Lenovo Core at this point, and that's an important element to understand as well. So as I jump in, I'm going to check my time here. I'm going to quickly go through these last couple of pieces, and I'll probably end a little bit short. But I wanted to show that the Microsoft EMR and EMTR has flexibility in the room types and designs. So the traditional EMTR room with the half C circle type table is determined as a medium room for our size display. As mentioned, the 138-inch projection is the larger room, but these rooms can scale from 364 feet in terms of square footage, and they can be configured in a multitude of different ways with other collaboration elements. This picture is from Steelcase, which is one of our strategic partners, and they put together their whole room in the box scenario where the wall paneling, the lighting, the display, the furniture. This is a picture that's public. It's from the Hive, and it is a guitar pick table, 21.9-inch display, different collaboration elements within the room. I included in this presentation, and I can share this link as well, but there's a nice video on YouTube from Microsoft that goes through the Hive. This room is at the Hive with the PANA 21.9 105D and all public information, but you can go through and get a viewpoint. I would invite anybody that's got the strategic relationship with Microsoft and their end users to visit the Hive. It's an awesome place to go and look and get ideas and really engage on the design elements of what the customers are trying to accomplish. Further flexibility around that would be this room that we did in an EMR experience. This room is really a one-off, but it just illustrates the flexibility of being able to leverage. The main objective for the design consideration of this room was to facilitate front row. And so that's done through the PANA 105D. This is a very unique space, all triangular, all glass, and it just so happened to have these two pillars that fit the 105 very well. This is for an executive space. And from his perspective, it was a great centerpiece for the display. And as you can see in this room by the number of chairs, this is a large room with a lot of people. There are other collaboration displays and elements. I think Mark, NEC presentation brought it up. You'll have rooms with different display and visualization aids within that room. And we're in a place where, depending on size and viewpoints and distances and all those things, we're delivering the 105 for the front row experience in the 21:9 aspect ratio. So I'm going to go really quickly. As we leave the EMR world for Microsoft, we talk about our general collaboration offerings. And this offering is called SimpleShare. It is a software UI package that's really meant to facilitate two things. It's meant to facilitate one-click collaboration workflows and being able to interop Zoom, Teams, Google Meet, etc. And we see this in spaces that are not dedicated MTR spaces, that are not dedicated Zoom room spaces, but more general collaboration use cases and rooms. And the SimpleShare software gives us the ability to do a couple different things in addition to one click. One, we take essentially a 16:9 footprint of the screen, and we can enable people that haven't adopted 21:9 to be able to use the 16:9 infrastructure. So this can be a single image, or we can quadrant this up to 4 images. And we provide wireless screen share, HDMI input, whiteboarding, web browser. We can annotate, screen capture, and this integrates into the room scheduling system. So that is a software that we offer for all the PANAs. The last product that I'll close on is our 34-inch desktop collaboration. You can see the SimpleShare UI running here. This is an all-in-one collaboration device. So it comes with the camera, it comes with the mics, a mic array, beamforming, and then the speakers. So it is really meant to sit on the desktop and enable collaboration. It can certainly facilitate a Zoom environment from a PC. It can do an EMTR type of layout with front row with a connected compute device. And it can also run just a generic Windows 10 device and run SimpleShare as it's depicted here. It's a very highly capable and advanced display. We were doing some competitive research internally, and we only found 2 other displays that were above 160 hertz at 4K. And from a price point perspective, it's very competitive, and it has many of the features that you would expect in the latest, greatest, latest and most innovative technology in the precision touch, some integration into Microsoft Hello Face, 165 refresh rate. And then we also designed this stand in our engineering and our product team, which provides the ability for this multi-purpose in studio mode. So this can be on your desktop. This could be in an in-room experience where you have the larger panel on the wall, and you also have this device at a table. And if you're using SimpleShare, we can mirror back and forth. You can break out into small teams and do annotation and graphics and CAD review. And so again, that multi-purpose and bringing some innovation around the ergonomics to make it valuable across the enterprise. And I will stop there with about 6 minutes to go, it looks like.
Thank you so much, Mike. That was excellent. We do have a few questions. First of which is, what kinds of customers are at the forefront of these new screens? Big companies, tech companies. Can you describe a typical customer?
Yeah, I'm going to stop sharing so I can look at my list just to give a good answer to that. But off the top of my head, I have 3 pharmas, Fortune 100s. I have 4 finance companies, Fortune 50s. Several tech companies. Microsoft is our biggest customer at the current time, but there's others coming online. So if you look at vertical, and we're doing quite a bit in higher education. We have about 4 logos in higher ed. In addition to 1 large federal, actually 2 large federal organizations. So if you look at the myriad across the verticals, it's really, really diverse and spread out. I think, you know, again, it is the catalyst around really the end user enterprise seeing front row and teams and saying, I want to implement that. And now what are my options on the hardware side to be able to design it around my constituents and end users and customers.
Thanks so much. Are there any EMTR customer deployments on the West Coast?
Yes. Great.
Are you available for tours?
We can tour within the Jupiter headquarters in Hayward, but not at the end user level at this point. Unless, well, I take that back because we are at Microsoft at the Hive, and I'm sure that we've garnered many customer relationships through customers going through the Hive. So I would recommend if the audience is a reseller and has an end user and is looking for their Microsoft account manager to coordinate with and then getting them to the Hive. If they're a direct end user, they can reach out to Microsoft and arrange a meeting at the Hive as well, which is in Redmond at HQ.
Thanks for that. Is Zoom moving in this direction, and what's the timeline if so?
Yeah, it's interesting. We've met and spent time with the Zoom product team, and the Zoom offering is by default, well, not by default, but is quickly enabled in 21.9. So although they're not focused on positioning it as, you know, a solution, the Zoom Room is 21.9 capable and Zoom Desktop is 21.9 capable. It's just configuring the PC and driving 21.9 resolution to the display.
Okay, I think you might have just answered this question, but just to be sure, what happens on a 21.9 screen when you're not in a Teams call? If you put up a PowerPoint, for example, do you get black on the slides? On the sides, excuse me.
Yeah, if you were, let me answer it this way. If you're driving 16.9 to a 21.9 display, you have setting, you would get, by default, you get black bars. So you would show 16.9 within that 21.9 footprint. There are settings within the display to stretch it, to do a setting in our environment called HV stretch, which is horizontal vertical stretch, but it essentially distorts the image somewhat, and it's not what we would recommend. If it being a 21.9 display provider, we're looking to integrate into 21.9 being sourced to the display, if that makes sense.